How you doing? Won't do no good. Right. Huh? Oh, it's nice. Then we burn up, get up to 90 something.
Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, September 27, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews?
Present.
Councilman Divatario?
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Present.
Councilman Leon?
Present.
Councilman Wells?
All right, public hearing number 1.
An ordinance to transfer $204,158.84 from the sales tax 203 fund balance to a new project to pay for city's 10% cost share of the Hurricane Ida debris removal. FEMA paid for 90% of the cost. Lacey Landrum.
As we discussed in the prior meeting when this was introduced, this is an ordinance to transfer money from the sales tax fund balance, where we have a surplus, into our budget to pay for 10% of the city's cost of removing all of the Hurricane Ida debris. FEMA paid for 90% of this cost. The invoice from the parish is attached, and so that's what this would go specifically to, nothing else.
Okay. Any questions from anyone from the public? Any questions from anyone from the council? All right. Thank you, Lacey. Public hearing number 2.
An ordinance regarding Joe Ferris Drive and Susan Drive in Lakewood subdivision. Councilman Divatario.
This was just an ordinance that was put on there a couple months back, introduced. It went back to the Planning and Zoning for recommendations. They unanimously recommended approval, and an outpour of support from the community.
Attached to the item is the staff report summarizing the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the proposed ordinance change, the original ordinance from 1983, and the updated preliminary survey showing the abandonment and the correct legal description, along with an aerial and a zoning map.
Any questions from anyone in the public? Any questions or comments from anyone from the council?
Thank you.
All right. All right. Public hearing number 3.
An ordinance to amend the Hammond Unified Development Code regarding subdivision approvals. Councilman Divatario.
This kind of went hand in hand once this issue came about, and same process. It was an amendment that had to go to the was introduced a couple months back, and it had to go back to the planning and zoning for recommendation, and they voted unanimously to support and recommend approval.
Any comments from anyone in the public?
I'll just note that what's attached to the public hearing and to the final document is the staff report and the summary of the planning and zoning meeting. Also, the proposed language change. This is an addition to the Unified Development Code, and then the original space where this Unified Development Code comes from, where this change would be proposed.
Any other questions or comments from anyone on the council? Okay. Hammond City Council regular session agenda, September 27, 2022, 5:33 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Divatario.
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
I ask Pastor Matthews to come up and lead us in our prayer.
Let us pray. Precious Father, we thank you for your loving kindness and your tender mercy. I ask you to be with us as we go up through this meeting on tonight. Lord, we thank you for our mayor. We thank you for the administration, the entire council, everyone in attendance. Lead us and guide us. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. For our pledge of allegiance, all veterans and active military, please render the proper salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our agenda, can I get a motion? A motion to approve our minutes from September 13, 2022 meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
All right, down to final adoption of ordinance. Number 1.
Final adoption of an ordinance to transfer $204,158.84 from the Sales Tax Fund 203 fund balance to a new project to pay for city's 10% cost share of the Hurricane Ida debris removal. FEMA paid for 90% of the cost. Lacey Landrum.
As we just discussed, this is to pay for the debris removal. It's 10% the city share, 90% was picked up by FEMA.
Again, anyone from the public have a comment, a question, anything on this issue, a matter? Any questions or comments from anyone on the council?
Yes. Did we all get the trash picked up on Brent Street?
We received the GPS coordinates of that, and it looks like they made a pass in late October at that location. I don't know if the debris was put out after that date, but that was the pass that they made in October.
So in October, this what this money is?
This is September.
It's
It was-
September.
It was after the hurricane that they passed and picked up debris.
On Brent Street?
Yes.
No. They made a pass. They didn't pick nothing up.
No, they have, let me pull up the address.
Yes.
Because they gave us several addresses on the GPS.
I see they done picked it up on Florida Street, but I didn't see no pickup on Brent Street.
This would have been picked up last year.
Yes.
Not recently. These were all associated with 112 Brent Street.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's not picked up, though. You almost got me confused, too. Almost saying October, and it's still September, so that was last year. Yeah, it's not picked up, but whether they pick it up or not, it don't make sense for me to talk about it so many times and it still haven't been picked up. Whether it's FEMA, the city, or whatever, because it's a part of the city.
Well, I think the challenge is that the remaining debris that's there is 300 feet from the right-of-way. So in order for debris to be picked up, it had to be in the right-of-way.
No, but at first, they was going all in the yards, picking up the debris. And that's the closest they can get it on the street. And to be honest with you, the street didn't go all the way out. The city just stopped the street right there at the driveway. So the street didn't go all the way out. But that's a good excuse, and I'm used to it, you know. So, welcome to the city council meeting. I'm ready now. That's a good excuse. There's always an excuse when it comes to District 3 on why we didn't do nothing. It should have been picked up. Whether it's 300 feet, 400 feet. The city the city done tore houses down 400 feet off the road behind my house, and wasn't nothing said. So don't give me the little feet thing, but thank you anyway.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
No.
Final adoption number 2.
Final adoption of an ordinance regarding Joe Ferris Drive and Susan Drive in Lakewood subdivision. Councilman Divatario.
Final adoption, my subdivision, the subdivision in District 4 is in support of this. So was the Planning and Zoning Commission. I make a motion to approve.
Anyone from the public?
Second.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
I'm Wayne Glasscock, 9 Oakley Drive, Hammond, Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
I own Rockhurst, the ones that this ordinance is targeted for to stop us from developing. Susan Drive and Joe Ferris Drive actually come in, one straight to the other at a 45-degree angle and dead end into my property. And we started looking at this property. It's the Worley Complex out by the interstate. Started looking at it about 2 years ago. The real estate agent came to me and she said that the entire complex was for sale, 22 acres. So we went and looked. There was a perfect development piece there, 11-acre piece that dead end, that Joe Ferris and Susan Drive dead into in Mr. DiVittorio's district. So we asked, we did our due diligence, we've got all of the rules. We've been doing this for 55 years. Thousands of lots, hundreds of thousands of acres of property. And we did it right. We checked all the rules. We submitted a proposal. Or actually, we went and talked to the permitting department. There was a lady before, back in 20, maybe 21. She left. And then Miss Heather Alvarez became our person to speak to. We talked to her in several different meetings. And Mr. Morgan, Mr. Palermo, we hired another permitting guy, Jeffrey, whatever. We went back to Miss Heather, went to Miss Landrum, kind of took it in an interim basis. But anyhow, we've been bouncing around for almost 2 years with this piece of property. At the time, that was really the piece that I was interested in. Actually, we do mostly residential development. And we made an offer on just that piece. And they turned the offer down. The property was owned by a REIT out of Boston. And they said all or nothing is what it has to be. And they were asking like $4.2 million for this property. So after some negotiating, and actually we've got a person that wanted part of that, they would not separate the property. And we bifurcated the two buildings. It was almost 35,000 square feet of buildings. Bifurcated those buildings. Crossroads Church took the part of that. And then we kept the rest of it. Of course, our plans the entire time was to develop this piece at the end of Joe Ferris Drive and Susan Drive. And again, they dead end into our property. There's a gate there that the city, Mr. Palermo has the key to it. There's a gate there, and then there's, you cross over the street, through the gate, turn right under the light power lines, turn north again, it goes to a pump station in the back there. Now, there is a right-of-way across our property for the power line, but there is no right-of-way for the city of Hammond to go back to that property. But we didn't really have a problem with that, because if we were going to develop, we're going to have to move all the power lines anyway. So we, go on about our way, and they say that the permitting department is against it. I guess Miss Landrum is the permitting department. They never told us they were against it. As a matter of fact, they encouraged us and did everything they could do to help us. They were very, very helpful, actually. And, but anyhow, they kept going, and we lost 4 people that we were dealing with. And the 5th, Mr. Palermo retiring, Mr. Morgan retiring. They basically no one over there to talk to anymore. So we asked that it be submitted to the council for to at least turn us down. If you don't want the development, you got to turn us down, because our legal guys say that there's no actionable cause until you do something. So we put it for, we paid the fees last February maybe. We were supposed to have been on the agenda for March, got bumped. April, same thing. May, we finally had a meeting in this room right here, a pre-meeting, and we spoke for the property. There was a lot of people from this subdivision that was here to protest it, and I understand them protesting. If I lived there, I may do the same. But the rules are the rules. The things that we submitted under was the rules of the road. And again, this is not our first rodeo. So we'll go back to be on the agenda 3 hours before we come up here. Heather calls and says, listen, we found an ordinance where the last 20 feet of Joe Ferris Road and Spring Drive was abandoned in an ordinance in 1983. So we go do our due diligence on that. Come to find out that this property that we bought was supposed to be the 3rd filing for that subdivision. And that's the reason the 2 roads dead into it. The former developer was going to make that a 3rd filing. Well, there was, again, an uproar at the time. Miss Debbie was the mayor, and there was a gentleman was the chair of the nice gentleman, whatever he was. But anyhow, they passed an ordinance abandoning the last 20 feet of Susan Drive and Joe Ferris Drive. So remember, it's not a single road now. Now it's a double wide road that goes into our property. A gate across it. So I said, well, if it's abandoned, then nobody needs to go on it. If it's abandoned, it looks like it's been newly overlaid. It's certainly been overlaid in the last 40 years. Then, if it's abandoned, what are the rules of abandonment? So again, we hired a big law firm. We've gone through all of this, and they say, well, they can, the council has the right to abandon property, but when you do, it kicks in certain rules. The rules of that 20 feet, which is about from here to there, it shouldn't be used. If you abandon it in a normal circumstance, if you've got a new route for the road and that just stubs off, it gets abandoned. But if that gets abandoned and there's no other remedy for what you did with the abandoned piece of property, it don't just sit out there in Never Never Land. The statutes that they were able to find out about what happens to an abandoned road is that the landowner on either side of that road gets half of it. So Mr. Bert Diliberto lives on one side, and the city of Hammond has a pump station on the other side. So you can't really abandon and then own it at the same time. So if the rules are that that's what happens, then the city still owns 1/2 of that road. So we're just trying to get something done here. Originally, when we bought it, we had an LOI, a letter of intent from a apartment complex, a developer, a large one in New Orleans, that wanted that piece of property, and that's how it came in to be, that try to bifurcate the properties. And again, that's really what we intended to do. We wanted to make medium size, mid to higher end residences there. Came up with a 70-lot subdivision on 11 acres. We submitted it, spent $50,000 on engineering, getting all of this done. And again, I gave you the backstory on the other. But at the end of the day, when we come here to be on again, then Heather calls again and said Mr. DiVittorio had submitted these 2 ordinances. One, to stop us from driving. No, I don't think anybody in this room or anybody in this country realizes that's not arbitrary and capricious against us. It's targeted directly for us. No more development on Susan or Joe Fast Drive, when both of those dead-ended state highway on this end into my property on the other. And to say that it's abandoned and you don't use it, well, Mr. Palermo uses it almost every day. Because I close that gate, I lock it, the city's the only one with the key. I come back the next day and it's open, wide open. I lock it again, come back 2 days later, it's wide open. So somebody's using it, and it has been using it since, well, that's 40 years. So those are issues that we'll have to clear up later. They're legal issues probably. Mr. Coutrain and I have discussed this, and what he told me is it wasn't on his desk yet, and he really couldn't give me an opinion, or he couldn't speak properly to it, except that now we're being told that we can't even submit a permit or a permit to you guys to either approve or not approve, because the city doesn't own the property that 20 foot in between us. Well, it's basically a spike strip, and anybody that does any real estate law or anything knows that spike strips don't work. The city of Hammond had one here with the mall out there for years and years and years, $1 million of litigation, and at the end of the day, you can't have them. So that's where we are. What I would ask, since Mr. Coutrain is not here, is that you at least table it till we find out. I do not want to get in a big, long litigation in my hometown. I live here. I've lived here for 25 years. I've had a business here for almost 40. So I'm just asking for a reasonable end to this. If at the end of this that you pass these ordinances, which you certainly can, but in my opinion, and I have a lot of developer friends, the ones in New Orleans that I will never go up there. You're basically telling everybody, we don't want development in the city of Hammond. That's what you're saying. And Mr. DiVittorio is representing his clients and his constituents, and I certainly understand that completely. But what if the next development has to go down the city road to get to it? And those people say, wait a minute, you abandoned 2 roads over there and wouldn't let that developer do it, so do the same, pass the same ordinance here. It's site-specific to us, and we and all our legal guys think it's arbitrary and capricious. So,
Just wanted to say that ordinance actually was in '83. The council had that feeling back then, and it was done in '83 to abandon that.
Right.
It goes to the adjoining neighbors. The city can still own that piece and use it for usage without having public usage. So I mean, you can still use it for not being non-public use. So, I mean,
we'll
you
get
still
your brother check on that.
you
I don't
can
think that's the case.
you can still use that.
The jurisprudence out there is
but-
overwhelming.
Yeah,
That's not the case.
but yeah. So I mean, it was pretty much an ordinance that was made in '83, and it's just cleaning it up a little bit and talk
again.
talk with them, and so that's where that was, and it was an overpouring
Again,
out there.
I understand it
Yeah.
completely, and I'm not here to argue with you.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is it is arbitrary and capricious against me, because I'm the only person that ordinance speaks to.
And I know you said you've been 55 years doing development, but you could always get a conditional permit with the contract stating approval permit beforehand, doing all your due diligence periods. That I'm not too sure if you did or not, but I mean, so there's a lot of inspection time to
Wouldn't
go in
let
these
us-
developments.
We argued this again for almost 2
Yeah.
years. This is
Yeah.
this is not the first
So
night.
you didn't have
This
to-
is the end of the culmination of a 2-year
Yeah.
period, where we've been over backwards and done things that I would never have done before. I'd have went straight down the throat, because that's what I do, and been very successful at it. Because I live here, and I know you guys, and I know my neighbors, and I know how the people on Susan Drive and Joe Ferris feel. But that's not what the rules were when I applied for this. And I didn't go spend almost $4 million to come up here and somebody say, oh, well, we're going to put an ordinance in place that disallows you from doing that.
Well, you bought it after 1983. I mean, the ordinance was there in 1983.
Right, but you didn't find it until 2 years into this deal.
I mean, it was there.
No one knew that.
I didn't make
talked
it up.
this
I didn't
way
make it up.
before I bought it.
Yeah, I didn't make it up after.
Wait.
I wasn't here in '83.
We talked to the permit department to see if there were any implications, and it wasn't recorded in '83. It wasn't recorded until almost a year and a half later. That's the reason our abstractor couldn't find it. And it was because it was with the city of Hammond that had 17,000 abstracts. We asked why the abstract couldn't find it, and that was the reason, because it was passed in '83, but it wasn't recorded until '84.
Well, that's a debate for another day.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah,
I agree.
appreciate it.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Just speaking against
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question. The new ordinance that would be passing would be abandoning that property, which that mimics the language of 83. And I know Mr. Kudrany said we need to fix this legal description, but this new ordinance also adds the second, the abandoned property shall not be used as a through street or access point for any new development adjoining Lakewood subdivision. So that would be new language that we're adding into the 1983 ordinance. Is that right? I just want to confirm that.
It's cleaning it up, yeah, it's cleaning it up.
So, but it's adding a new restriction
It's
to clean it up.
cleaning it up, yeah.
Okay.
One more thing, we hired a surveyor to go out. The description is absolutely positively incorrect. The
Right.
legal description of that property is not correct.
But the Planning and Zoning Committee did, commission recommended that that be fixed
The
in
last
this
line
ordinance.
is non-ending, it goes forever.
Right.
So the legal description is incorrect in that ordinance.
In the 1983
In the 83
ordinance.
one,
In the
correct.
preliminary survey that's attached in this packet and that is available online has the legal description on there as well.
Anyone else from the council? All right. Pleasure of the council.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Final adoption number 3.
Final adoption of an ordinance to amend the Hammond Unified Development Code regarding subdivision approvals. Councilman Divatario.
This is the amendment to the codes, to the UDC. It's just giving some more verbiage of some protection on different other developments that may have this same problem. It just really just gives it more language to take some consideration to the existing neighborhoods that are all over the city. When this came up, it just really just shines some light on it and make sure that the public and the residents of the subdivision has a little knowledge of it and have a little, take some consideration on what impact it may have on the neighborhood. So it's just added language.
So it's just adding language to item number 6, which
Yes.
originally reads, any adverse impacts on adjacent properties have been minimized or mitigated. And then when it talks about with respect to a new proposed development that would require a new passage, so again, a new street or kind of passing through that, this helps emphasize that they would have special noticing. It would follow the same zoning noticing that we use for other properties. This would have that similar kind of noticing efforts.
Anyone from the public? Any other questions or comments from anyone from the council?
My only comment is that we have a housing committee that's supposed to be looking and determining what growth and rules and ordinances and everything that should apply to new development, existing development, and any and all type of housing. And this didn't go to them, but I do understand the Planning Commission recommended it. So I just want to make note that the Housing Commission, is that the name of it? Yeah, the Housing Commission didn't comment on it.
Anyone else? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon. Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Resolution number 1.
A resolution to appoint Kyle Johnson to the Hammond Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board for a 3-year term ending on July 29, 2025. Mayor Pete Benevento.
This is a southeastern appointment. Kyle Johnson is a born and raised resident of Hammond. He works with State Farm, lives in Kips District Number 1 in Oak Ridge, and I request the council to approve his appointment for 3 years.
Anyone from the public?
I wanted to make note that the letter where we all received copies by email of the 4 nominated appointees from Southeastern was sent to us, but it's not hyperlinked, but we all did receive it on the 20th.
Good evening.
My name is George Bergeron. I'm a lieutenant with the Hammond Police Department, and I'm also the chairman of the local Fire and Police Civil Service Board. I come here tonight to the council to ask y'all to oppose the nominee, not based on the person itself, but the process that was followed and done. I have a handout that I can give to each and every one of y'all. Go through it and I'll explain everything to y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if you looked at paper number 1, it's an email from the Officer of State Examiners, Angelo Floyd, sent to the Civil Service Secretary. At the bottom it says, Julie, please coordinate with the city clerk to avoid any duplication of effort and to ensure board members are appointed, reappointed by the council and properly sworn in to serve the next 3-year term of office. I have attached digital version, which is on the next page, but obviously you can't see it. You go to take page 2, it's the same letter that they refer to in the digital version from the Officer State Examiner. It was received July 1st, 2022 by the Civil Service Secretary. If you look, it quotes a revised statute 33-2476, which reads, upon the expiration of the term of office by the college list board member or whenever vacancy in his office occurs, the governing authority shall appoint a successor in the same manner as the outgoing member was appointed. If you go to the next paragraph, it says 2 college list board members shall be appointed from a list of 4 nominees that shall be furnished to the governing authority by the executive head of a legally chartered and established 4-year institution or higher education. So currently we have 2 board members that are college appointees that are expired. You go to page 3. This is taken from the Civil Service Handbook. Up at the top, towards the last paragraph, it explains what the governing authority is. And it defined under the 1974 Constitution as the body which exercises the legislative function of the political subdivision. Therefore, the governing authority of a municipality is the city council or board of aldermen. And down there at the bottom, number 2, it explains what the appointing authority is. So basically what I'm getting at, the letter and the request has got to come from the governing authority, not the city of Hammond. It comes from the city council. If you go to page 4, this is a pre-drawn letter done by the Civil Service, the State Examiner's Office, which lays out all the verbiage that's needed. All you got to do is fill in the blanks, which is taken care of by the council. Page 5 is a checklist requirement that is put together by the Civil Service Board attorneys that has been given to the city, that each and every one of these checklists, these requirements have to be met. You got to send a list or a letter to the university requesting 4 names. It's also got to be sent certified letter. The candidate's got to be a citizen of the United States of America. It's also got to be a resident of the city of Hammond for at least 5 years. A background check's got to be done, and each one of these has got to be met. So far, to my knowledge, the Civil Service Office hasn't received anything on the appointee, and it's nothing against the appointee. It's the process that was done and wasn't followed. If you turn to page 6, it's another email from Miss Julie to Miss Lisa, sending her the Civil Service Board nomination form, asking her to put it on the council agenda. This was back in June. And July 20th, She re-followed up with another email to Miss Lisa, I'm sorry, reminding her to put it on the agenda. At the bottom, Miss Lisa responds, "Good morning, Miss Julie. Lacey stated to me that she received the letter and I could disregard it. They are aware and the appointments are to be submitted by the mayor/Lacey to the city council. I assume they are working on it as of today." And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I want to thank you for doing your homework, and that's what we need, more people to do their homework. And the question that I have, so tell me, what mistake did the city make? Sound like the city making a lot of mistakes.
I can't answer for what the city's done. I'm just here to answer what the council's supposed to do. So the council's supposed to submit the letter to Southeastern, not the city of Hammond. It's got to come from
So the letter have to come from the president.
correct. And then once those names are returned to the city council, it's up to the city council to pick two of those names.
Okay, so, I see Brown was the last one that was on there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so in the process, by Brown being the last one on there, did we do everything the right way when it came to Brown?
Not that I could find, no, sir.
All right, that's it for me.
So this is the first time this issue has been raised. If there are questions, I don't know why it's just now being raised at the podium tonight, because this is the same process that we've used for years on end.
Just to stop you, the process that y'all used for years has been incorrect.
I would appreciate knowing that. I mean, like,
Well, if y'all would confer with the Civil Service Board.
we gave all the documentation of the last appointments to the Civil Service Board, and they were sworn in under your chairmanship, so
It's incorrect.
that is,
Think we had an incorrect issue last appointment. I think with the last one that the lady who was appointed had to get resigned because of some
Thanks.
background or not background, but some.
Residency requirement.
Resident.
she had not
Residency.
lived within the city limits for 5 years.
Okay.
This
So-
is the highest residency requirement in the state.
Yeah, so I think we need to do a little better job of looking at this to make sure that we're following the procedure correctly.
So we sent the certified letter. We received back a letter from Southeastern with the 4 names that was provided to the city council. We've talked with these folks. Mr. Johnson is willing to serve.
Who was the letter sent by?
You want to start all the process over? It's signed by the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the point I'm getting at, the request has got to come from the governing authority, not the appointing authority.
It says the governing authority shall appoint, which is what you would be doing tonight. So it's not the mayor appointing. It would still be the council appointing.
The council's got to request the names from the university, not the city.
So I get, you guys are trying to follow the law as strictly as possible, even though no one's ever worried about that before. But if the council sent the letter to Dr. Crane and he still sent the same list of 4 names, I mean,
As long as the process is followed correctly, I don't have an issue with it.
And I think we should be following the process correctly. I mean, that's why there is one, so.
when did you find out that this was not correct? I mean, was it like yesterday? Because that's when we're just now hearing about it now, or is this been something
I
that's been
just
going
printed
on?
everything up this morning, and when I looked at the agenda yesterday and saw the name on there, that's when I started pulling everything. I mean, we've had this vacancy, the term expired since the 29th of July, and they're just now trying to be filled.
No, I like the term that you use, doing the right thing. And by you being in law enforcement, and with all of us, we should want everybody to do the right thing and follow the law. You know, what's before us and stuff, and it's a lot of things we don't know, and here it is going into the last 4 years, and we still learning. And these little hidden agendas that I always talk about, it's time out And I appreciate you taking time out to even look for it and let us be aware of it, because that's the thing been taking place so long in the city. So it's not my job to sit here and question you to death about everything, because you did what you did was right. And so whether it went 2 years ago, you didn't see it, but you recognize it now. So thank you for your homework and what you brought before us. And now it's up to us to make a decision, table it or whatever. But I heard the little thing said, keep this in your district. So what that means, that's already a vote, you know, for the person. I don't even know the person, you know, I just looked over where he graduated from. So I appreciate what you done.
Like I said, it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the person or the nominee. It's the process that was done.
And we need to start doing the process correct, just point blank. If we do everything the right way, we wouldn't have these issues going on. So, and then by him being in law enforcement, real stuff, everybody ought to be shaking this man's hand. Thank you, because by the time somebody do something right in the city of Hammond, so I appreciate you, because a lot of time people do things behind closed doors or tell us things behind closed doors, but don't come to the council meeting and say anything. But you are brave, strong enough to come up here and say it. So I thank you for representing the city of Hammond. Thank you for being a law enforcement in the city of Hammond. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Any other questions or comments from the council? Pleasure of the council?
The process, doing it correctly, would that be still in time to, what is it, 90 days, is it? 90 days to get a new appointment in place, is it?
Yeah, there's 90 days to get reappointment for those vacancies. Technically, October 29th.
I mean, it's nothing personal about the appointee here tonight. It's just that if we're notified that there's a process to go through and we know about it now, we didn't do it. I mean, I would think the right thing would be is to follow the process. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think, Kev. President, yeah.
Well, looking at the information that we've been provided, in front says the letter was supposed to come from the council. Pleasure of the council.
This is up to me, huh? So I
Make
guess
a motion to approve.
make a motion to table. If we see it's a
You
problem,
already got a motion on, well, you don't have a second, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
if we see we have a problem, why rush and do something when we know we have a problem? We can't keep doing it this way. The officer sat up here and brought us all the rules. He didn't make nothing up, printed it out, gave all us a sheet, and you want to rush and holler, approve? I'm saying, he gave all us the sheet. You gave all us the copy, huh? I saw when you gave me mine.
Well, I make,
Hey, let me finish my statement, okay? So this has been going on for how many years, Lacey? That we've done it this way? Longer than anybody can remember, okay? So this is the way it's been done, longer than anybody can remember. So I do appreciate the officer pointing out that the process has not been followed all of this time. But now at the 18th hour, we all of a sudden going to forget about all that we've done to change this to basically have the same result. I mean, that's fine, but I'm just saying, why not move forward like we have done for all of these years and make note that it's corrected in the future? That's all I'm saying. You can vote as you want.
well, I'll make a substitute motion to table.
I make a substitute motion to table till the next meeting and ask the clerk to send this letter tomorrow, if possible, to Dr. Crane, so we can get this on the next agenda.
I'll second that one.
Well, it's amazing, boy, what, and then here it is, Andre, he's not even in. The man was talking first, here you got the lawyer not even here, that's actually getting paid for the night, but he's not even here. And he know as well as us, every council meeting that we have. And I'm talking about, I want to say, Andre, could you help us out? But I don't see him. Now you got table to add on, motion to pass. You got 4 things going on. And guess what? Miss Lisa, do you know the answer to this?
I know the answer to what?
To all these motions, second,
We have a motion and a second.
hold up.
Roll call is
I'm talking now, so we ain't gonna do that while I'm talking.
Robert's Rules of Order
Miss
says
Lisa.
if there's a motion on the table that's been seconded, you should go directly to roll call.
I think I had seconded the first time. So now you're gonna have, the president confused right now.
I'd like to, somebody repeat that table, that substitute motion. that
Yours or
made
mine?
last. Not mine, I know what I said. The last
Mine was
one
a
that you
motion
made.
to table and direct the council clerk to send the letter to Dr. Crane from the city council requesting the 4 nominees and have this set for the next meeting.
Are we ready to vote?
Was second, right?
Yes, it was.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
All right, resolution number 2.
A resolution on the municipal water pollution prevention annual report on south wastewater plants required by LADEQ and our discharge permit, Guy Palermo.
This is our yearly permit rates mailed to DEQ, municipal wastewater pollution permit. We do have a year runs from August the 1st to July the 30th. We had a couple of things this year, a little different than last year. First thing was the points. We went over a little bit above last year, but that was due to the fact of all the rain we've been having. Then we got construction going on the plant. 2 different tie-ins going into the wastewater pond. So that drove the BOD up a little. We're still in limits, but there's the only thing different on this than last year. And starting next year, right, we run from August 1st to July the 30th now. Starting next year, we're gonna run from the current year, January to December. So we'll be doing another one probably February next year to run for August up to December this year. And at that point, we do them throughout the year. Instead of going from August to July, we'll go from January to December.
Any questions from anyone in the public? Any questions or comments from anyone on the council?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Excuse me, aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez? Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you, Guy. Resolution number 3.
A resolution to approve the mayor to enter into a contract with Raycars Construction for $134,430 to replace the existing metal roof at the City of Hammond Maintenance Garage, RFP 23-21, Lacey Landry.
Jana couldn't be here tonight, so we're just presenting some of the work that was handled by the purchasing department. They did put this RFP out for advertisement in the Daily Star. It was up on the city's website, and then it was advertised through Bid Express, the online bid submittal system that we use. All the normal process that we use for bids. The lowest responsive bidder, we received 4 proposals. They are attached in your link there. And the lowest responsive proposal was Raycars Construction at $134,430. $134,430.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, is this paid for by insurance as well?
This is paid for by insurance and a little bit by FEMA. This one did come in higher than what the insurance had suggested it should. So we sent all this information with the bids and everything else to insurance, so we're waiting to see if we will get additional insurance dollars.
Anyone from the public? Any other additional questions from anyone on the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Resolution number 4.
A resolution to approve the mayor to enter into a contract with MRP Contractors LLC for demolition services at 19354 Highway 190 East, Hammond, Louisiana, in the amount of $26,500 RFP.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
This is the, another purchasing department item. But if you remember, Councilman Wells and I discussed this at the last meeting when I was up here on another issue. This is the demo of the 4 structures on the property across 190 from the airport, and it's the beginning of our clearing out of that property so we can make it, bring it into conformity with FAA and state requirements.
Did you tell us last time this is paid for by,
It is. It's paid for with FAA funds.
there you go. Okay. And it's within budget? Or I guess it doesn't matter, right? They pay for whatever?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
It's good. I'm glad. Only concern I have right now while we're on this is the demolition list that I emailed a while back, had nothing to do with you on this, but it brought up, well, I thought that was gonna be on the agenda this week, those lists that you sent me, and I asked another question, but I didn't get a response from the email about the status of those 10 houses or so throughout the city.
In the original emails that we exchanged, October 11th, I believe, is our first meeting in October. That's when the demolitions were coming on the agenda.
Okay, so that list that you sent me, I asked you and Bobby
That list that
about,
Bobby sent,
Yeah.
yes, that's coming on October
Okay.
11th agenda,
okay.
as far as I know. He
And then
he
the-
didn't state otherwise.
Other little house that was asked about on there,
I don't
okay.
have an update from Bobby on that
Okay,
one, so.
I was just wondering, I didn't want to make sure it went through. But I'm glad we got this taken care of pretty quickly. So,
Mr. David, how you doing?
Hey, sir, how are you?
Good, good. How much damage was done to the house? What's the percentage?
There's no damage. These were living structures. There were actually people living in them when we bought them a couple of years back. So the owners have moved out as we took possession of the property. And now, obviously, if you're buying a piece of property for the purposes of clearing it out to make it safer, you can't have the structures there. And since state funds are being used on that, for aviation purposes, the state wouldn't allow us to keep those structures there, even if we wanted to. So,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Day.
yes, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Any other questions or comments from anyone from the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
second,
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you, David. Resolution number 5.
A resolution, 1, accepting a $4,000 grant from the Patrick Leah Bulletproof Vest Partnership to purchase new and replacement body armor for Hammond police officers. 2, approving a $4,000 cash match from the Hammond Police Department. And 3, authorizing the mayor or his designee to complete and sign related documents. Charles Barsher.
Good evening. This is a follow-up to an application that we submitted back in May. We were last here in May talking about this, and I'm happy to report that we got the amount we asked for. So all we're doing tonight is asking the council to allow us to accept the grant and move forward so we can purchase these additional vests.
Any questions from anyone in the public? Any questions or comments from anyone on the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
And Councilman Wells.
Resolution number 6.
A resolution supporting the submission of a grant application for $50,000 to the Local Government Assistance Program to make necessary repairs and renovations to the Levy building, Charles Barsher.
So this is an opportunity that we have every year to apply to the Local Government Assistance Program. In the past, the City of Hammond and other municipalities have signed on with the parish and taken a share of the amount that was allocated to the parish. This year, we're going to try something different. Everyone is going to basically be able to apply for their maximum eligible amount. So our maximum eligible amount is $50,000. The council did appropriate funds for the repair and renovation of the Levy building. That's where the Hammond Regional Arts Center operates out of. It is a city-owned building. It's one of Hammond's oldest buildings, and it is in need of repair. Our concern as prices have gone up is that we might not have enough with what is budgeted. This is a way to potentially supplement what we have. I've met with the Hammond Historic District as recently as a couple of weeks ago, and the original plan that had been presented to Robert Morgan and I looks like it's not a viable one, so we're going to probably have to spend a little bit more to repair the facade. This is a way to hopefully get us there.
Any questions from anyone in the public? Any questions or comments from anyone on the council?
I appreciate you going to the Historic District, making sure we're, dotting all our i's and crossing our t's, and moving this along for the museum. Well, for our building.
Absolutely.
Make a motion to approve.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
All right. Resolution number 7.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Crime Stoppers of Tangipaho from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Lacey Landrum.
Not really sure why my name is next to these, because as we've discussed in past council meetings, it is up to the council to determine the amounts that will go into these contracts. So the council has been provided all the applications. They're also apparently linked to each one of these. And then you have also the spreadsheet that I provided several weeks ago that describes the last 2 years of money that has been allocated to which amounts, and then what was requested by each nonprofit partner for this year.
Anyone from the public on this matter? Okay.
How much they asking for?
Their ask is a,
Huh?
Come up to the podium.
Did you come up to the podium? Okay.
Out of line at a city council meeting. From what I understand, this is an open meeting for the general public also, which is included. But at the beginning of this agenda number 7, someone mentioned Crime Stoppers. And I just want to make a short and brief comment concerning my thoughts on Crime Stoppers, if I'm correct about that assumption that I did make. Crime Stoppers, I approve of anything that they can do. I stay in a neighborhood, sir. I was just shot at, brought up in daylight several days ago. But what I'm suggesting, maybe the mayor, the administration, the Hammond City Attorney, and the City Council could collaborate and sort of initiate a curfew, at least during the week, with the exception of the curfew would be lifted during Hammond High or St. Thomas Aquinas and Southeastern Louisiana University Lions football games. But other than that, man, if I stay in a neighborhood, it's dangerous over there. I could have been shot. And so a curfew might, I might be out of line to suggest this, but just maybe, I'm just asking for consideration. And thank you very much.
What street you stay on, sir? What's your address?
I stay in Eastern Hammond, East Central, behind City Hall, 200 Will Fraser Road. Okay. That's off Magazine. Thank you.
When you were shot, was it reported to the police department?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public?
Yeah, I was asking, I'm trying to see, how much the Crime Stoppers, oh, you say the public.
They asked for 11,107.
I think, let's see, the only one that had a actual number, that a plan was a Children's Discovery Center. I think that was at 70 or 80? That's 70 or 80,000?
80.
80,000, step down.
Crime Stoppers had based their ask on the amount of population within the city. That's how they had come to that kind of, because theirs is a very unique number.
Yeah, no, I was just asking, I think last year was 11,000, huh?
Last year was
10,000.
10,757.
Okay.
And the year before that was 9,383.
So just to remind everybody, in their application, they described that they run the anonymous tip line that gets publicized out through every press release, and that also gets linked up on the Hammond Police page. They also provide rewards if the information that's provided to them leads to an arrest. And they do several crime prevention programs throughout the year aimed at helping kids understand crimes and adults as well.
I think it's an important organization to have and to help out. How's everybody, feel with that proposed amount?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I think we need to say the amount.
$11,107.
Yes.
So you want to make the motion, is that good, or he needs a
So you make a motion to approve the resolution in the amount of $11,107?
Yes.
Second.
Who made the first?
Sam made the first, I made the second.
Yeah.
We're trying to get out of here tonight.
Councilman Andrews?
I'm going to abstain from this vote due to the fact that I sit on the board of Crime Stoppers.
Councilman DiViterio?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wentz?
Aye.
Resolution number 8.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Child Advocacy Services, Inc. from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Lacey.
So Child Advocacy Services has requested $30,000. This money would go to two main efforts. One is crime response, and what they do is they conduct forensic interviews with children who have received trauma or been witnesses to crime. This is important, and a lot of other cities may have a psychologist or somebody on staff who would provide similar service, but CASA is able to do that for us. It makes sure that the child is not re-traumatized over and over again through different interviews or through different depositions about the crime that they witnessed or were part of. The second way that they actively participate is through crime prevention programs, mostly through child abuse programs.
Anyone from the public? Any questions or comments from anyone on the council?
I'll note that they had 25,000 last year, which if I recall, they had asked for 20, and we raised them to 25, and then the previous year was 20,000, which I think was consistently where they were before that. I would suggest that we fund them at what they were funded last year, which is 25. That's just my suggestion.
Is anybody here from them tonight?
No, Mr. Carlisle said he couldn't be here.
And to be clear, I did not know that you wanted representatives, so I did not make a reach out to each organization to be here for tonight.
Okay.
He has made several inquiries about did you need additional information, and I told him his application was complete since there hadn't been additional questions about the information that he had submitted. They did submit their full audit and all their application materials.
I wanted to ask, when is it, I think you've said this before, when we are funding something, a nonprofit, they have to give us receipts and then they get funding?
So there's two different ways that it's happened in the past. Typically, we do, if it's a program that has outlined, like, here's what they're going to spend the money on, and that's part of the application that they have made to us, then we can do a monthly amount to them. If it's Crime Stoppers, they typically submit their receipt for the tip line towards the beginning of the fiscal year and request their entire amount to basically pay for that subscription to the tip line. Both of the museums in the past have submitted monthly receipts and invoices for things that they have done or things that they're about to pay for through that process.
Would that include salaries, or is it anything that is their expenses? For any of these?
It has been, in the past, it has been qualified as anything could count towards that, unless they have specified in their application otherwise. So like in some of their applications, they say, we're going to do a special project, this year that'll go towards like art classes with seniors or something like that. It just depends.
I guess what I was going to ask, did they justify, or not justify, but ask the reason they're asking for an increase? Did they say it was imperative for something, a particular issue they were trying to address that they could not address, or if it was just any kind of information on that?
Let me see if they made any notes. I don't recall there being a note like that, but let me see.
No, I'm looking at.
Max,
It
again.
says that the grant funding will be used to provide services locally to abused and neglected children throughout the CASA and the child advocacy service programs. These services include volunteer advocacy, forensic interviews, resources, and prevention education to the children, their families, and community members. Child Advocacy Services is requesting $30,000 from the City of Hammond to sustain and support our mission and partnerships with the Hammond Police Department Juvenile Division and the City Court of Hammond. They did include their breakdown of funding and talk about how the total budget for Child Advocacy Services is $2.4 million or so. So the grant funding that they're requesting from the City of Hammond is less than 1% of the total budget.
Councilman Wells, you said you had a question?
Yeah. How much did they ask for this year?
30.
30, and
Last year they had 25,000,
25.
and the year before was 20.
They didn't ask for 25 last year. They asked for 20.
and they asked for 30,000 this year?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments from anyone on the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to give them $30,000.
Second.
You said you wanted a number, huh?
Okay,
Well,
so,
we have a motion and a second, but I guess the question is gonna be, as we go down this, we gotta keep in mind that we're gonna.
Yeah, we got to stay in budget, yeah. I mean, it'd be important, I mean, they should have, I'd like for them to have been here. I mean, it would have been nice to ask them, you know, if that, what was, I mean, it's an important organization here, but, you know, if they had if they were just asking for more money, or can they live with the $25,000?
I mean, I had a $2.4 million budget. I would assume 5,000 wouldn't bust them. That's just an assumption, though.
okay, I have a question. So, the first motion was for 25,000, so that's our
No, that was just my opinion.
opinion.
Yes.
So, the motion is 30,000 first?
Yes.
Who was the
Sam
So you had a motion already?
No, I just said what my opinion was. I
Okay.
did not form it as a motion. So I think it's helpful if we start putting numbers to what we think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
when we're
41, that's
discussing.
41,107.
Let's assuming it passes.
I done added it
Yeah.
up already.
Councilman Andrews?
Wait, hold up 1 second. See where I'm at. Okay. No.
No. Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
No.
Councilman Leon?
No.
Councilman Wells?
Yes. Aye.
I make a motion to approve for $25,000.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
And Councilman Wells?
No.
So we up to $36,107.
Can I make a suggestion? Can we just have maybe a conversation before we move on, so we can, if that makes sense, so we can look at this thing holistically?
Okay.
Otherwise, we're gonna get to the end of the rope here and not be where we want,
Yeah.
not be where we wanna be.
Well, you
We
can.
still have a pot to discuss.
Yeah.
No, what we should be doing, we should be going into executive session, but I already see how this is turning out and what's going on. So these little meetings before the meetings, I can't entertain this here no longer. We already know what y'all was doing before I got up here today. So that's the problem. And I'm just gonna wait and see how this third one gonna turn out, just to hear the numbers on what gonna count and what gonna be said on this third one.
And as far as what you said, Steve, I mean, the Children's Discovery Center actually had a plan in place to step down. So, I mean, that could have been one of the first ones, because it was already predetermined, that price. So, I mean, unless somebody was against that, but they already had a pretty detailed plan on where they were going with it. Nobody else really had a step-down plan or anything else, which, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that money there, I would imagine, would be more in favor of everybody, because they already have a plan in place. So,
I'll give you some insight to what I was thinking, which is everybody, since the grant committee could not do what we asked, because we did not give them the guidelines that they needed, and it's over budget, that we give everyone what they had last year, except for Crime Stoppers, which is based on population, and the Discovery Center based on their anticipated and agreed upon step down. And then let us all discuss and figure out the last two, which received nothing last year. My anticipated way of doing this. But I'm just one person. You can vote however you want.
let's see.
I don't think people want to have a discussion, Steve.
And
so- Sorry.
Well, basically, I agree. We didn't give that board no guidelines. Well, we never really had guidelines that we worked from either. We just gave them a budget. And they stood here that night and told us what they came back with was the decision if they were gonna do anything, what they were gonna give everybody basically what they asked for, which would put us over budget. Then it fell back into our lap, and we voted that we did not want to go over budget. So my concern for tonight was to make sure that those that received funds on last year receive at least what they got from last year, and we have a discussion on the two new at the bottom, which is number
Well-
11 and 12.
And with that being said, then why not just follow that suggestion that we give them what they received last year, as Councilwoman Gonzalez said, and then we have a discussion on the last two?
There's been no proposals any other way. I mean, it's not some type of conspiracy. No one has said anything that's been helpful in figuring out how we're going to fund these nonprofits.
All right. Let's see, so at 20, who's up next on there? You got, let's see, Endeavor, Corporate Endeavor, Child, so that's the same amount. Let's see. 9 is the American.
For discussion purposes, what are those numbers?
Which the next one?
If-
The African American Museum.
What they received last year. What are those numbers?
50,000.
50,000.
2022, and then in 2021, 35,000. By the way, this chart comes from what Lacey sent us. I didn't make this.
It comes from the budget books and what was appropriated by the council in past years.
So we still on number 8 or we on number 9? Because we talk about number 9, but I never heard it was read, number 9. So we're on number 9 or number 8?
We're on number.
We're on number 9, but it hasn't been read yet because we stopped to listen to what Steve's statement was about having a discussion. So
Okay.
go ahead, Ms. Lisa. Read number 9, please.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Tangipaho African American Heritage Museum from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023.
Anyone from the public on this matter? All right. Any questions or comments from anyone on the council?
I'll reiterate my statement of giving the same amount as last year at 50,000.
And so this is what I wanted.
That's not a motion, it's just a statement.
Oh, no, you're good.
No.
This is what I wanted. Now, number 8. And let the public be aware. Ms. Lacey has so much to say about number 8.
I was about.
No. No, number 8, you had so much to say on why we need to do this, why we need to do that. Number 7, you wanted to know why your name was on there. Number 9, and that's why I stayed, because I was about to go, but I said, no, I just want to hear this. See, number 9, nobody said nothing. And I just wanted to see, you didn't ask nobody to show up to talk about their organization. And number 9, now you can't even talk about it. That's all I wanted to see, and that's why I say, the public, we wearing the public out on doing these little private meetings and stuff, because everybody, you can see what's going on. And Steve and Councilman Steve, you made a good point. This is something that we should have discussed. I agree with you. And I sat there and said, we need to go in executive session, but guess what? What a lawyer. Once again, you paying it. What a lawyer at?
You can't go into executive session.
I know.
for this.
Well, one thing about it, you can't say that because we don't have a lawyer here to talk and tell us what's the next step to do. So you can't say that because like last week, 2 weeks ago, I asked you something about the accounting and have they had any mistakes or anything. You sat there and told a lie. And I'm going to show you where you told a lie, but you said it on the mic that they didn't have any problems, which they did have a problem because it was sent to us that they had a problem. So that's the thing being said. When we say stuff, we can always go back and see who said what and what they did. So I can't trust what you say. I'm just being honest. But when you say it over the mic, it sounds good to the public. But when we say stuff, tell the truth. Because if I told a lie or anything, y'all will nail me to the cross. So now we got an issue now.
Would you like me to explain what is linked as what I just did in the prior resolution? Or would you like me to just?
That's would have been nice, you know, that's what you should have did in the beginning, but
Y'all
I
were
understand you
having a
didn't.
discussion
No,
as a council.
No,
You
man,
were having a
look, don't play
discussion
with
as
me.
a
No,
council.
Miss Lisa asked. When Miss Lisa read, she didn't even read your name. Oh, you telling Kip to do it? You're right. I'm not gonna sit here and play with you clowns. It's too much. You sit there, you need to be the mayor.
I am the mayor.
He's the president. No, I was talking. I never finished. Miss Lisa never did call her name out when she was reading. So one thing about it, we can always go back to the minutes and see what Miss Lisa had stopped at.
Can I just respond? Maybe this is out of line, but I didn't call her name. These kind of came on after the fact, not after the fact, but they were discussed. She didn't tell me to put these on. Council President Kip asked me to add these. Her name is in place because she was the one who presented them originally. So, and as far as inviting other people in, this was just added because it was something that needed to be addressed. So I don't think anybody knew to call the people that originally requested these grants to be a part of this meeting today.
But when was this added?
I mean, it was added when it was supposed to be added in a timely manner. It wasn't after the fact. What I am saying is because it was discussed and discussed and discussed, it was something that needed to be added and discussed and finalized. So that's how it came up. Lacey's name is here because she's the one presented it initially. And I didn't know that I needed to put Council President Andrews' name here because he asked to put them back because we need to finalize it.
Yeah, and he did the right thing, but you didn't do nothing wrong, but I'm saying, by her name being on the end, and she said it, I don't know how my name ended up on it. But she wasn't supposed to talk on number 2 if she didn't talk on number 1. She explained everything in detail on number 2.
Someone asked a question on
Because the
number.
council member asked me multiple times questions and said, Lacey, did you know what they're asking for? Did you do whatever? Did you participate with the grants committee? That's what I did. So I will be happy to review and summarize these for you. They've been provided to the council for many weeks now. You've had the full application to read the information for yourselves. You've understood that this is your decision to make. I'm just here to help facilitate the information that is provided here. I'm happy to summarize that if you would like. I'm happy to summarize something from the grants committee. We have one of our grants committee members here tonight. Again, they were not asked to come back to this meeting. The committee was not. The nonprofits were not. This has been in public discussion at the council meetings for many weeks now.
Well, I see one of the committee members are in here tonight, but, I mean, we said what we had to say, but it's amazing how you can have information on number 2, and which, like you said, all of us got the package. We should have had the same information for number 3, number 4, number 5. So if you're gonna do one,
You
just
do
do it
have
all.
that. You have the information linked. The entire public has the information linked
Calm
to
down,
this
calm down,
agenda.
calm down.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were my coach.
Yeah, calm down.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Lisa. Could you finish reading the resolution, please?
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Tangipaho African American Heritage Museum from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Lacey Landrum, Kip Andrews, I don't know.
You've been saying Lacey name, you can continue
Okay,
to say her
as
name.
stated, with these resolutions, I did ask Ms. Lisa to put this on here so we could go ahead and resolve these issues. There's been a lot of questions asked about this from these organizations. There's been a lot of questions that have been raised and brought up by citizens as well. So I know from the beginning what we were trying to do with this. As stated again, that committee came back, stood before us that night, brought back their reasonings or their findings on what they stated, which would have put us over budget. They stepped away from it, put it back into our lap. So the decisions has to be made. So as I stated, my thoughts were that from what they gave us that night and the last meeting when we put it on there, we voted not to go over budget, to stay within the budget that was set. So my thoughts were to make sure that everybody at least got what they received on last year. That was my thought. That was the meeting that I had with myself. There wasn't no backdoor meeting with nobody. After the meeting that I had with myself inside of my truck at my home when I was just thinking over these things. So that's where we are right now. Anyone from the public have anything else to say on number 9?
Item CNO 2009 Carbon Road. I just want to say, we don't have to give these organizations any money, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
So they should not base their budget around, they should not be dependent upon these funds. They should not be looking forward to these. These are just extra help for them providing their services for the city, correct?
That's correct.
So they should not, be looking forward to these. We are just being nice, so to speak, for their services.
Correct.
Thank you.
So the Tangipaho African American Heritage Museum has outlined in their application that in the past they have provided the STEM camp for students. They provide several giveaways, both for meals and for other schools. They supply families with free backpacks and school supplies. They partner with several other groups within our community to support the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce and to support businesses and to award scholarships to college students. Most importantly, they are the African American Heritage Museum for our parish. They have a repository of African American artifacts and history related to and in around our area, both for veterans and for the Black community as a whole.
And if I'm not mistaken, when we first started into this process, we were going back and forth with different things when this comes up. The whole process was, when we got into this, was stepping organizations down. Am I correct?
I don't think, they never talked about the Discovery Center, but I don't think there was ever a plan. There was never a structure about any of them. That's why we're here right now with the problem that we have. And we created this committee to set this committee in place to try to, get some structure. We gave them a budget, which was good, a point. But, it just, I think, it would have been nice to have a proposed that stayed in with budget or whatnot and may have to meet a little more. But, that board is important to prevent where we're at right now, to get a structure put together for us and make a recommendation so we're not here today where we're at right now. All I'm going to just say is I think it's very important to get that group back together, or if they don't want to serve, then resign and find an appointment that is willing to serve, make some hard decisions, and look around and work all year until the next budget meeting, so we don't have the same issues, and get some structure. And if it's a step down, then have that across the boards, and that's how you have those discussions outside of this meeting here with the groups. And it's a commitment, and it's an important appointment that should be taken serious, and and it needs some detail put into it. So here we are right now, but I don't think there was any step down for everybody. I think it was just whatever.
The Discovery Center, I think that's the only one.
Yeah. Oh. 225?
225,000.
225. Hey, Ryan, you mind stepping up to the podium? Yeah. How you doing, Ryan? Yeah. Thank you for serving on the board. I appreciate it. Would you be interested in continuing serving on that board throughout the year if that was what the council was wishes were?
Absolutely. I mean, in my own personal opinion, I think.
I'm talking to Mike, please, so they can hear you.
In my own personal opinion, I think it's in the city's best interest to encourage the committee to continue meeting. If I could say something about, the proposal that was placed, I think the frustrating thing for the committee was we were given 2 meetings in 1 week period of time to give you a recommendation within basically 3 days. It's a lot of pressure that just kind of got thrown in our laps there. And I'm not trying to, our goal with that committee, the last thing we really wanted to do was to kick it back to you guys. Again, it kind of felt like we were between a rock and a hard place with little oversight. We did not have a lawyer present, which I think is also beneficial to how we move forward with guidelines. As we move forward, again, I think it is in the city's best interest to have us continue meeting and putting these guidelines in place, possibly adopting an official step-down policy with organizations, any sort of guidelines like that. I think the frustration you guys are feeling right now, we definitely felt it too within those 2 meetings. Again, in my own personal opinion, I wish we would have had more time. I wish we would have met again. I wish we could have come with a real proposal to you guys. I really hope that you encourage the committee to continue and put us back together, put us back to work, so that next year when we come back to this meeting, we're not here in this predicament. We're not here, for lack of better words, arguing with one another out here in the public. I mean, it's, long story short, none of us are really serving to the best of our ability without guidelines in place. It's really...
I appreciate it. Are you thinking, once a month kind of, or?
Where we're at right now, I'll be honest, it seems like we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
As you've already stated, there's no guidelines in place right now. There's nothing there. So you're asking us to build a foundation and build up from there. So yeah, I would say once a month, once every 2 months even. I mean, whatever it is, I know everybody on the committee is serving, giving their time to it. So whatever's reasonable in that realm, but I would say that we have a lot of work to do, and we should definitely meet as much as possible to get this done.
Lacey mentioned an attorney. Would that be, obviously that's not in Andre's, I guess, scope there, or would that be an additional amount of money that needed to be budgeted for some kind of assistance for that group till next year?
I think that would be a better question for Andre to answer as the city attorney.
Okay.
I think what he was making sure of and what some of the questions are, and Ryan, correct me if you see something different, but I think most of the questions surrounded around what is that relationship between the city and the nonprofits, and whether what they're proposing to provide the city in terms of services or programs, whether those are allowed costs to be funded through taxpayer dollars. And Andre has always talked about that, and that's why we've talked about what the different partners are providing as part of the contract, and that's what goes into the contract related to that.
Yeah, a lot of the questions we had were surrounding kind of what was in our legal limits, to request, as far as information, how far can we go as holding them accountable, like what are the legal ramifications, again, of our relationship city to the organization, and again, kind of doing our due diligence and making sure that that organization is compliant with all of those things.
Thank you.
Yep.
Excuse me, Ryan, what's your last name?
It is Oliphant, Olipant.
And your address?
613 Susan Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan, and it's amazing you said that it's going on 4 years, and we don't have guidelines, so we didn't know what to do and how to do. So you had 2 weeks, 1 week of it, right? So we done had almost 4 years of the same no guidelines, don't know what to do and how to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and service. Any other questions from anyone from the public? If not, pleasure of the council.
I'll make a motion to approve for $50,000 to match what was given last year.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Abstain.
Resolution number 10.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Louisiana Children's Discovery Center from July 1st, 2022 to July 30, 2023. Lacey.
The Children's Discovery Center attached a very lengthy proposed application and described all the different programs that they have offered through their many years of service. Specifically, they're a hands-on educational museum for children. They offer a lot of STEM activities throughout the year. They offer a lot of ways for families to grow together and for children to expand their imaginations, creativities, and motor skills. Elsbeth Smith is
I was
here.
going to try to save you some.
That's fine.
Lacey, but Elsbeth Hollywood, 711 North Oak Street. I currently serve as the president of the board of directors of the Louisiana Children's Discovery Center. I want to thank the council for their support over the years. As you know, we do currently have a cooperative endeavor agreement in place that has us on a step-down basis. We received $100,000 2 years ago, $90,000 last year. We're asking for $80,000 this year, and the goal is to get us to $50,000. As Lacey so eloquently provided, and all the information that we've provided to you previously, you have a copy of our financial statement. We do a financial statement annually. As all museums count on public support because they provide important services to the community, and we particularly to the very young generation. We focus on toddlers to about 7 or 8 years old, and we're one of the only children's discovery centers that do that. Most of the other, like the New Orleans Children's Museum, really focuses on older children. So we handle a lot of field trips from all over. We get kids from St. Tammany, from outside of Louisiana, from Mississippi, from Baton Rouge, even other communities that have children's museum. They come to this community and they spend their money here with our field trips, and we also keep our fees for admission very low because we want to make sure that our center is accessible to everyone in our community. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I would like to say thank you for your service, and my wife and I, we attended several times, bringing the young kids from the community over there, and your staff, they're unbelievable.
Good, thank you. That's nice to hear, Councilman Wells. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I want to thank you for everything that y'all doing, and appreciate y'all actually being in Hammond.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you for coming tonight, showing up, and appreciate it.
Thank you again, Council, for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anyone else from the public? Any other questions or concerns from the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
For how much?
A requested amount, the step-down plan that's in place for $80,000.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Resolution number 11.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Urban Market Experience from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Lacey.
Sorry, I'm still waiting on this one to load. UMX, in general, helps our businesses. They are a Black entrepreneur group. They help Black businesses create themselves. They help them thrive. They help them grow. They offer both business training and outreach activities to both promote those businesses and to help them promote themselves. So they are asking for $75,000, and they are a relatively new group. They were important to the downtown development because they brought a lot of creative vendors to downtown. They also partner with the DDD in several other programs and outreach services.
So what is our total at right now?
Your total?
166, 107.
Yes.
So I was having.
Anyone from the public on this item? Any other questions or comments from anyone on the council?
Did we say their request was 75?
Yes.
Yeah, we said, I don't know if we said that.
So what we got left, we got, the last one left is, cooperative endeavor agreement, Tangy Humane Society asked for what, 5,000?
Correct.
How much they got the year before? 5?
None.
No, they're a new group.
UMX and Humane
Yeah, the
Society
last
never-
two are new groups.
Okay.
And we don't have to spend all the money.
One of the things the grants committee did discuss was with startup organizations, maybe providing startup grants. So there's just different opportunities for funding programs. This is a newer organization, but they do have lots of ideas. They have lots of demonstrated services that they've already done within the short amount of time that they've been working.
I'll just put out there, in the information that's been given, my one hesitation is that since it is a new group, and that their budget that they gave us and their expenses and their income is not, I don't know if I want to put, I guess it's public information, it's on the website. Their, income is around $40,000, so I think $75,000 to be almost doubly funding any organization doesn't seem like good business. So I have some problems there. Now, if we were funding them in a way that we were getting receipts for actual things identified in their application, then that helps justify that a bit better. But I did want to note that their request is almost double what their earned income is.
I will say this about the group. This is the only group that will come out after the parish comes to get dogs or cats.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
On number 11, not 12.
We're on UMX. But also, to that, UMX has been wonderful for downtown and helped us get the Main Street Award. And they were in Richmond with us for that event. So they're certainly a valuable nonprofit in our community.
Anyone else from the council?
Well, we need to decide on a dollar amount. Throw 15, 20,000?
Got a total of 58,000 left?
I'm scared to say something, because if I say something, you're going to start arguing, so I don't want to say nothing. Then I heard you use the word black organization, so I'm really scared to say anything, because I don't want to argue about nothing. You got 58,000 left, and the last group asking for 5,000. And I heard Councilman Steve say we don't want to spend all the money.
Say we don't have to spend.
Yeah, we don't have to spend all the money. But if I sit up here and act like ain't nothing wrong, it'll be crazy on me. So I suggest give them 40,000.
I was actually thinking too, we might could budget a little bit. It probably won't take too much. We might want to budget a little bit if that group, we don't have to spend it either, but if we can put a little aside for any kind of attorney fees, if we may needed any for that group, the appointed group to work on this year, if we need to set anything aside for any kind of additional fees for anything that they may need help on, is that, I don't know if that's legal or not, but if we're trying to improve the system, any kind of budget for them to get any kind of information from other cities or research. I'm not too sure if there'd be any expenses in that, but that's just another thought.
To pull it from this particular budget?
Yeah, to put towards improving the system down the road. That was just a thought I just came up with when we had a budget left, and he made a comment about a possible attorney to help. I would,
Humane Society asking for?
Humane Society's asking for
Five.
And that particular group will come out and address horses, snakes, coons, whatever. Seems like the parish is strictly dogs, cats, and
I personally think 40,000 would be a lot considering their income and revenue was 40,000 the prior year. So you're 100% matching their earned revenue. I would suggest 20, I guess half of that. I was personally thinking more like 10 or even matching the 5 requested by Tangy Humane and using it as like a startup grant, like give you an amount this year, show us what you do with it next year. If it's been put to good use, you get, ask for more and it's justified. But again, we don't have guidelines saying that this is a startup and you only get this amount. So this is, obviously it's not required, but we could be indicating to the grant committee how we feel about startups and there being a startup amount for companies that are new to a city ask.
Or y'all want to compromise and say we call it a startup grant and give them each 10,000 and call it a day?
So the last one, this a new group too? This a startup group too?
Right.
Both the last two, yes.
Okay, so the last group asking for how much?
5.
So, and I heard the mayor say they'll get horses, snakes, coons, possums. I heard the mayor say that. So if this is a new group and they're asking for 5, and both of these groups are new. So one asking for how much?
Councilman,
75 and the other's asking for 5.
they've actually been in business for a while. They're just the first time asking
Yeah.
for this money.
Oh, no, I don't mind. Anybody gonna get a snake, I get them, I take them to the roof, getting them money, cause I don't wanna touch no snake. So I agree with that. But no, I have to listen to the language. And I'm saying, and that's why I did that. I threw that number out there just to see what will take place. And that's why I said I didn't want to say nothing, but wasn't nothing being said, so I brought it up. I said 40,000 just to see. Now you come from 40 to 20 to 5 or 10. It's a new group, but the other group, they're asking for 5. I get them $40,000 to get a snake, and they're only asking for 5. So see how the conflict come in at, but we're gonna see how this here play out, But it's bad that we have to go through this here, and we still in the budget, and we under budget, and we still gonna have something left over. But racism do exist, and I'm gonna say it. Racism do exist. All of us can see what color I am, and we see the color of the rest of the councilmen. We see the color of the mayor. We see the color of the administration. We see the color of the secretary. When will it stop? It have to stop. We can't keep going through this. It's bad that we can't talk about it, or it's a bad word when we say racism. But it's not a bad word. Until we start discussing it, Hammond gonna be in a better place for everybody to live in. We can't keep doing this here. We can't. I'm not gonna participate in it. If I see something wrong, I'm gonna say something. I respect the law enforcement up here earlier. He didn't have to do that. He did the research, brought it up. Was he brought it up 2 days or 3 days? He did the research. Thank the people when they do something good. Don't criticize or hurt them. Thank them. I would love for that officer to stop me versus any other ones to stop me, especially if he gonna go by the book. That's all I ask for. Just go by the book. On everything. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm
Yes.
just saying, so where are we at with that? What are y'all?
Need a motion.
No, we never come up with an agreement.
Make a motion.
We got?
So you want me to go up 45 or you want me to go down 35?
Just keep in mind their total budget is 40. I like the 210s as a startup group, and we can even agree to let the committee relook at it at mid-year or something, if you want to do that.
So here you want to get this other group 10,000, and they asking for 5.
That's why I say 5 to both, but.
Okay.
No,
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 let's do,
no.
let's do 5 to both. I'm
No.
good with that, too.
No, I know you're good with that. I know you're good with that. How you gonna get them $5,000? And Lacey just sat there and said all the things that they done for downtown Hammond, you wanna give them 5? I mean, I can't stop you. Everybody got to vote. But we glad to hear exactly how you all feel when it comes to certain groups. So don't give them nothing. That's what I say. No, don't give them
The
nothing.
fact that they're a startup, it's not the group.
Yeah, just say don't give them nothing.
The group is the fact that they're a startup.
I know. Well, you start somewhere. And they black. So what I look like not saying nothing on their behalf. I talk about the Children's Museum.
We talk about both groups.
I talk about the Children's Museum, and one thing about me, I support the Children's Museum with everything they do.
This is
I
why-
know it.
This is why it's important to have that group together. Councilman Kip, did your appointment like to still serve? Did
Oh,
you
yes.
talk to her any?
Yes.
Councilman Gonzalez?
Yes, she does, yeah.
What about you, Steve? Councilman?
This is appropriate.
Steve? I wanted to ask, who's your appointment?
No.
He don't want
He
to?
does not want to, he does not want to serve, and that's a discussion for another day.
Okay.
That is a
I'm
discussion
just
for
trying to
another day.
find out, because while I'm voting on this, I kind of want to know a plan afterwards, because I don't want to repeat this again right here. What we're doing right here, we shouldn't be discussing this right here. It should be with appointments, and we should have a plan coming in tonight and not discussing out here. So that's why it's important to discuss this.
And
So
agree-
I just wanted to ask
I
that.
agree with you.
'Cause I was not
It's a
for this.
discussion for another day.
Yeah, because I wasn't for this. I was for letting the appointments that we put in place figure it out and work on it and bring it back. So,
Just as
Okay,
a
well-
point of information, the committee has exchanged emails, and they do seem very interested. Many of the members seem very interested in
They said it-
continuing their
They
work.
told us that in a
Yeah.
meeting, yeah. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
question that they're going to continue.
They told us that a bit at their first report.
yeah,
Ryan
well, I just want to make
reiterated
sure all the
it tonight.
appointments were still, if they were in communication, because I've been in communication with mine, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody, you would shoot Councilman Wells?
Yeah, I don't know. I might pick somebody else now.
Okay.
I need somebody to really work.
All right, well,
Well,
go ahead.
on number 11, I would make a motion that we fund them with 25,000.
A second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Excuse me, Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Resolution number 12.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Tangy Humane Society from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Lacey.
I think we've talked about this one indirectly.
Okay.
I think everybody's familiar with the Tangy Humane Society. Y'all have talked about these applications. They take in lots of different types of animals. Councilman Wells is very interested. If he has any snakes, he's going to call them. So they're asking for $5,000 to help support their efforts to do that. They also come out on the weekends sometimes when the animal shelter may not be able to respond as quickly.
Anyone from the public? Any other questions or concerns from the council? If not,
Yes, I got it. Yes. We ain't gonna just go that fast. So look, the animal shelter, how much we give them a year?
Animal control? Or
Yes.
About 60,000, isn't it?
60 or 50?
It's
Somewhere in there.
60,000 something.
60,000. And they don't come out on the weekends. They don't get snakes, they don't get raccoons, and they don't get possum.
Do they not get that, or is that just, is that in, do they have a list of items that they pick up?
Dogs and cats.
That seems to be what we have to call Tangy for. Dogs and cats, anything other, we seem to call Tangy and come on.
And so by this, well, it's not a new group, but by them asking for something, I want to thank them for participating and even asking for something, but it seems like we need to start cutting that 60,000 down.
Well, I'm sorry, but that actually made it come, so Tangi's is the one out there by River Road, Right,
At
yeah.
high school.
Because I actually had a horse in my district that was picked up, and neither one wanted to pick it up. And then it took a while, and it went round and round. It was in Lincoln Park to get the horse picked up. Couldn't get anybody. Had to go round and round with the city. It was a dead horse, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was talking about dead animals too, yeah.
It's different.
So,
So hold up, they not gonna get no dead snake?
all right.
Uh-oh. And how much they just asked for?
5,000.
Make a motion to get them they $5,000.
Second.
Councilman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon. Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Report, Mayor? No report. Council, any reports? This Saturday in Martin Luther King Park in the neighborhood, we will have a District 1-wide cleanup. Also, we will have a voter registration drive going on at the same time in between the hours of 8 and 10 a.m. in that morning. Also, Monday, here in the council chambers at 5 o'clock, we will have a District 1 Town Hall meeting.
Oh, good.
That's-
Monday, you said?
Yes, Monday at 5.
Monday's the forum.
Oh, I plan to be in and out
Oh, okay.
in enough time.
Yeah, so they're doing the forum for the chamber.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for, council report, I did, Chuck Spangle, the engineer group, doing the bridge in my district. We need to sit down and talk, cause it's so much on here that I don't understand. And then for the railroad spur, I asked for an update on the railroad spur, so I think it's, 152,000. Yes, $152,405. And I just want to say thank you to the city councilmen that voted on this here. This $152,000 that we didn't have, that all the while, the railroad spur, this the one go back there to the warehouse. It's called, used to be Dale Champ's old warehouse. So, see the money we've been leaving on the table for the longest, and now we're receiving money. That's $152,000 that we didn't have, that the citizen was paying to do the maintenance on the railroad. So I want to thank the city councilmen that voted on this here. And moving forward, we really need to look into these things where the city been letting things go. That now that we see that we can generate money on little things. And I appreciate that, and I just wanted to make that aware, bringing that up, that now we had $152,405. Thank you, Miss Lisa and Miss Lacey, for what y'all did on this here.
Are there any other reports? Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.